What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Many of these guys here are Trump supporters, but yet he goes on Fox News and says that this isn't a protest, this is a rally in support of him. That's not true. He's lying. He's lying. And that's not a jab at the president in any means. Look, I voted for Donald Trump. I plan on voting for him again in 2020, even with this going on. But I'm not going to stand by and let a lie like that degrade what's going on here these last 15 days. These guys have worked hard for what they've accomplished so far. They have done great things.
Been driving since 1988.
I'm Lisa Schmidt, his wife.
I'm Marcus Summers. I've got 33 years trucking under my belt.
Nice.
Todd Campbell, been trucking for 21 years. Greg Anderson, 33 years.
Mike Landis, 16 years. Brian Browsey, 2 Scoop, 3rd generation truck driver. I don't know how many years, 4 years, 5 years.
Dan Coles, 12 years driving.
Robert Jacker, 6 years.
William Radbone, 24 plus.
Las Harmon from Miami, 15 years.
Nice.
John Carroll from Newton, North Carolina, 27 years.
Hi everyone, I'm Fred Bowerman. I have been here, I guess, almost from the beginning. I was here in the beginning. I left, went home for a couple days, and come back, and just so inspired to watch everyone come together. Something that we all been working for quite a few years. I got involved with Black and Blue back in 2017. I'm a second generation trucker, but I had to get out of the business because I wasn't able to make it. After 3 years of struggling in the early 90s, I basically sold my truck. But I got involved with the black and blue fight because of the ELD and the need for flexibility with the drivers. You know, I lost my father to a driving accident, and he didn't have to run by a clock. So when drivers have to judge things by, their family life and getting the job done and things like that, that makes it hard on drivers. You know, they need flexibility in order to try to accommodate their life and the job. And that was really what got me involved. Like I say, we've been working for a long time to try to bring everybody together, and to see this happen is awesome. I mean, it's just really inspiring to see so many different cultures working together. You know, I'm hoping that through strength, and the numbers that we can, make, hopefully see things get better for the drivers. I don't currently drive any longer. I still have a truck, and I try to participate just to help do what I can to make a difference.
The price gouging.
Price gouging?
Yeah.
Mike, what do you feel about price gouging?
Yes.
I think it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Very obvious it's happening. Talk to a lot of people that have their own direct accounts. Their freight rates haven't changed, so why are brokers dropping rates so bad? It's all part of a game.
But are they dropping the rates? Brokers are still holding on to the money. Shippers sign a contract for a year that they've got freight.
That's what I mean. The brokers are the ones dropping the rates. They're using the supply and demand argument with trucks and amount of loads to say that that's what's happening, but they, like Lee said, they create contracts, so they do some spot market stuff where it might be somewhat of a valid argument. For the most part, if you talk to people that have their own freight and they're not losing freight rates, the broker's argument's invalid in my opinion. I don't know.
What the brokers have done, they've found a way around eluding the law by getting truckers to sign a waiver exempting them to be able to have the right to see transparency, to see exactly what the shipper is paying them to move the freight. So they're controlling the market, period. They've got control of guys that do that signs that rate con. But there's a law in place there. What we don't have is a policing body to make the proper adjustments. There are fines and penalties if they're caught doing this, but no one's policing.
But is it really the broker's fault? I mean, at the end of the day, drivers are choosing to haul.
It's free
You're stepping up and you're choosing to haul the cheap freight. You're doing it to yourself.
There's another side of that story. There's a valid point there. And I used that when I came down here and tried to tell these guys that part of this problem was brought on by ourselves as an industry. Because the brokers use this type of collusion to stick together to drop rates together at the same time, but we don't stick together to make sure that they can't drop them at the same time and not haul it. But there's another person in this that's losing too. The people that are paying the brokers to haul this, to move this stuff in the first place. They're paying good wages and they're paying for A+ type service, yet the person that's paying for the freight in the first place is given D- or F service because the brokers are paying such a small amount on what they're actually getting paid from the shipper or receiver, whoever's paying that freight bill.
Good point, but I still stand by. At the end of the day, if drivers just refuse to haul it, let the crap sit on the dock and rot, the rates are going to go up.
And that's kind of how I feel too. The broker signs the agreement with the carrier decides the rate's fine with them to haul it, so there shouldn't be any squabble about how much the brokers actually make if the carrier is getting what he negotiated to get and works everything into the contract that he signed and they signed.
Now, what I will say that irks me about it, regardless of whether you let it sit on the dock and rot or you haul it, they're dropping that price down so low, but yet why are the commodities actually raising in price? Why is milk going up? Why is bread going up? Why are the American people paying way more for their groceries than they did just 2 years ago? And the rates are so much lower than they were 2 years ago. Why is that happening?
There's the point of you should let it sit and you should know what you need to haul it and not accept it for less. There's an ethical part on the broker side of trying to get people to believe that they only have so much money into it. This is all we can afford to pay you to haul this load. And that's why I was saying that other party that loses is those that are paying for it, because they're paying for a premium service and the brokers are giving them shitty service.
Part of it is you see collectively the brokers are beating everybody down because they're all saying the same story. This is what it's paying. They're sticking together. So then a lot of drivers or company owners are believing that the rates are less. So they're beating you down collectively. I mean, just like the government does that, regulations or whatever. They beat you basically into submission.
But then how do we get drivers to come together and stand up and actually do something about it? Is what we're doing on Constitution Avenue, you think that's going to work? Do you think that helps? Do you think that's getting a message across? I think it helps. It's a start. It's a start. You see how many different nationalities, religions, creeds, backgrounds, colors, whatever, down there. And everybody's here because we're all American truck drivers. And they're finally starting to realize that just because you look different and believe in something different, that we all have the same problem. And although we feel like it's harder than us, we got to start. There he is.
And the thing about it, there's a lack of education because of time, speed, having to sign rate cons faster, and not understanding the industry. Some of the elder ones or like Shaggy service, we need more of that to educate people that's new to the business on how it actually works. You have the power to mark out what you don't agree with in these rate cons, but a lot of guys don't do it because they don't know that. So, like if they send me one and I don't agree what's in it, I mark it out, I put my adjustments in it, so I send it back to them. So if they sign it then we're bonded into the contract and I move the freight. It's just it's something that we need to teach the guys coming into the industry.
If they're going to try and put in the small print things that take part of our rights away that are put in place by the same green book that we have to follow over here, we should be able to put in what we want. If they sign it, then it's
And see, that's where no matter what contract you sign, nothing should supersede federal law. That book is supposed to be rules and regulations by the federal government. So whatever contract somebody negotiates with them, whatever they try to sneak through should not override the book. And that's the problem. People don't realize that what you're signing is going against federal law.
It's going against federal law if they don't have something that states you're waiving your rights to know. If you sign that, they're not violated.
Is that true? Because you're going against the transportation.
Because you're going into a contract with somebody that will uphold in court. Right, but if that contract is supposed to be under federal law, it's like we as truck drivers have to follow the same regulations. Is it actually legal even if you sign it and agree to it? Yeah. That federal law.
And another point, who gives them the right to fill out that document that supersedes federal law? Because federal law supersedes all other law.
We're giving them that right because we allow them to keep getting away with it. Yeah. We're giving them that ability to do that. That's what we're working on now.
Well, in legality terms, does this work like the federal law? When things drop down to the state level, the state can make them more strict.
Yeah,
but they can't make them more relaxed. So in turn, or what they do, what the brokers are doing, is it actually legal? They're making it stricter by taking certain pieces per se out, but you're signing and agreeing to it. And I'm not saying that it's right. It's just a question to say it. Is that what their side of it is thinking? That's what they're doing.
There's a lot of different angles.
Have there been Have there been any court cases where someone signed away their rights, but yet they sued anyways? That would be something to find out.
Well, C.H. Robinson's in a massive lawsuit right now because of the not basically ripping them off, not showing what they're getting for it, and they're, what is it, multi-million-dollar lawsuit, ain't it? Here's another side of this though. Just like we just said, there's people that are maybe not educated on what it takes to run a truck, right? It's very easy for someone that knows nothing about trucking or the industry to become a broker and go out and get this freight at rates that they have no idea what it takes to run a truck or whatever. So some of it is maybe that is all the money they have into it because they know nothing. And it's easy for them to sit at home on their computer while their kids are running around screaming in the background
and be the middleman between shippers and receivers and us as carriers, which is also driving costs down. There's good brokers out there, and then there's ones. It's just like trucking. There's good carriers, there's bad carriers. Good brokers, there's bad brokers, and it's finding a way to work in between.
You only got 5,000 in the start brokerage. You start brokerage with 5,000 less.
You got to have $75,000.
You can really buy a bond.
You got to have a bond, yeah.
I mean, you can get an insurance bond, put it against your house, you got your 75,000.
State versus federal, though, is that even matter as far as doesn't the federal supersede override any state?
The federal should, the state's stricter, but the thing with brokers is I don't think state has anything to do with the broker. That's all
Right.
I don't even think many, if any, I don't think there's very many states that even have anything on their own books in regards to broker operations whatsoever.
If there would be an employee, I mean, they would have the OSHA or something.
But there's plenty of states that have their own regulations for trucks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And how we operate, or how big our trucks can be, how heavy they are, our freaking
Look at oversize.
depth systems.
And what about it?
Look at oversize. Every state you go into, the rules are
It's
different.
different, yeah.
Every state.
Oversized.
We've talked about that though with FMCSA, and said I hate regulations. I admit that 100%. I want least. I want them to do regulations in one department, oversize. You make it mandatory. Every state follows the same thing for 12 foot or less width, or 10 foot or less. Pick a size. Make it that every state requires you have to have flags at 10 foot. At 12 foot, you got to have strobes plus flags plus your sign. Run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every state, up to 11 foot wide.
I 100% agree with you on that, because my time in oversize, the biggest pain in my butt was hitting the state line, having to stop to make it compliant for the next state. Or you got one state in between two of them that I had to park at dusk, but the other two I could run through the night.
That's where I wish they would at least do that. But then if you ask them, they say, well, we got regulations on that. Really? That never happened.
It's just like the bridge laws. You can load your reefer, your van trailer with sliding tandems on one end of the country, but you have to know exactly what each state is. Some of them vary by a foot where you can have the center of your axles at. So you better make sure you know where you're going and what they all are, so when you load it over here, you can set your axles to where you're good the whole way across the country. There's so many things that we as drivers have to know out here, and yet we're the bottom of the totem pole and the ones being kind of taken advantage of.
The bridge law, that is, the federal bridge law was designed for maximum amount of weight you could put on axles and axle spacings. That is upheld. You can beat the states in court, but you have to be on the
where the
interstate.
states can make a stricter one.
They can make it stricter, but not on the interstate, as long as you're doing interstate commerce. I can max out my truck as long as you're...
I mean, as soon as you come off the exit ramp to go to the warehouse, you're screwed.
Exactly, unless you get to a state that you can follow the bridge law.
Right.
It's just, we got to be attorneys.
We're
pretty much.
We're as small business trucking. We're truck drivers. We're mechanics. We're attorneys.
Accountants.
We're accountants. We're office personnel.
Payroll, HR,
Lobbyists once in a while.
Lobbyists,
protesters.
So we've been down here, I think
Today's 14 days.
14 days, yeah. But in general, how many times have we brought trucks down here now?
This is 3 trucks other than 10-4.
No, you got Black and Blue came down first to fight the LD
This
stuff.
is the third as a protest, fifth, and there was guys that come down.
In between, we were in between without trucks.
Well, yeah, I thought there was a bunch of trucks coming down a few years before we did.
With the oil.
Before
for
Black
oil.
and Blue, yeah, 2013. The point is that trucks have done this now multiple times, and they haven't. We still have yet to be heard.
Until
we still
yesterday.
have yet. Well, let me ask this. I'll ask. What is your personal opinion on him coming out from the White House yesterday? How do you feel about him? Do you think it's fluff? Do you think he's legitimate? Do you think that it's something?
He was busted.
It was PR. I'm just looking at PR because the president could come out. The president could have simply walked out. They didn't have to do all that. Just
How do you feel when they say that the president couldn't meet with us because of COVID-19, but then just a week ago he
he goes
meets with
everywhere
people?
else without a mask and meets them.
That's right. That
These
one is
people, the
bullshit,
oxygen's not bad here. I love the oxygen. I don't have a problem. I'm not sick.
Right.
Now, see, I did household. When I did household, I knew what the customer was being charged and what my percentage was 56%. or if I did anything extra, I got extra percentages of that. But I knew what the bottom line was. The customer paid 15 grand for me to move their stuff from point A to point B. Why can't the shippers can do the same thing with us, or the brokers?
I want to add to your comment. Do we feel he was placating? Yes, I do. But I would follow it up by saying, as many times as everybody's been here, nobody has ever acknowledged us from the White House. We've all met with senators, congressmen, DOT, FMCSA, Department of Labor, you name it. You get nothing but lip service other than a few things you get done. This is the first time we were acknowledged. And that was Friday when he was on Fox News. Now you take yesterday. Okay, placating. But it's a biggest accomplishment that we've ever had.
It's a step in the right direction, but like I told someone earlier, I said, we've spent enough time down here that I don't get too excited.
Right.
And the way that DC moves is very, very slow. And at the same time,
governmental
we're here.
piece.
Right, and yeah, I feel it was a lollipop, a really tasty, sweet, yummy, delicious lollipop that they want us to keep sucking on, to pacify us, maybe, want us to leave, I don't know.
But it's still more than we had.
It is. It's more than we had, but we came to talk to Trump.
Right.
He said, no, we can't give you, we have to go through the procedures to get this meeting scheduled with Trump. Okay, well, you won't talk to us because of the COVID thing, but yet you'll talk to the ATA, which is our enemy, and you'll talk to ATA truckers, which is our enemy, and Elaine Chao, Secretary of Transportation, is right there. You'll have a meeting with them, but you won't have a meeting with us real independent truckers. The ATA only represents 15% of the trucking industry. We other real truckers represent the rest. So
Money. I don't care. I'm not one side or the other politically. I try not to really be too political at all. I don't care if you're left, right, independent, whatever. At the end of the day, you get nowhere in this town unless you got the money for it. The ATA has the biggest piggy bank in trucking, so they get to go to the Oval. They get to go to the Rose Garden. They get to have trucks parked on the front lawn of the White House.
Let me ask you guys a question. We're holding out for Trump. What would you expect differently for Trump to do versus Meadows? Because literally, from my opinion, Trump is just going to go walk back to his office and say, hey, Meadows, handle this.
I think it's a matter of, in my opinion anyways, I think it's more an image thing, right? If he comes out there, or a couple people get to go in there,
those words, it makes a big difference.
It's not even just if he hears the words. We've always said in the time that we've walked the halls of Congress and stuff, we just need 15 minutes with him. That's all we need, right? 15 minutes, open his eyes, right? But the thing is if you can actually get the president to come down and acknowledge openly with us on camera with people, then you get traction. Then you get attention.
Camera's the number one thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because you can say anything you want behind closed doors.
We're not getting cameras.
But
we never have.
We never have. But think about this. How comes Chief of Staff comes out yesterday and meets with us, right? Nothing. I've Googled it multiple times since it happened. There is nothing on the news. Nothing. The Chief of Staff in the White House.
The only next step is the president.
Basically the person that is speaking on behalf of the president, other than the press secretary, comes out here and addresses a protest, which never happens. They never do that. And that doesn't make the news? Why? Why?
And
what is going on in the media? What is going on at the ATA or the broker level lobbyists? What is going on that every time we're here, there's a media blackout on what we're doing?
Money to keep this going.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And I can also tell you.
Good. You know what? Good. I'm glad it's costing them to keep our mouths shut.
I'm also going to say that there's a lot of
our money.
Paper being shredded.
I already paid for it.
I'm also going to say there's a lot of paper that's being shredded right now too.
Oh, I bet there is shredders running.
And I can guarantee one thing.
Shredders running.
I will guarantee you one thing out of this whole process. If we left today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the day after we leave, I guarantee it, the ATA will be in there.
They've done it every time.
Exactly.
Every time. They've done it while we were sitting here, sitting on the National Mall. First time
were,
ever in history, trucks are parked on the National Mall 2 years ago. While we're there, the ATA has a meeting with him in the Oval Office. while we're there.
You know, here's the other thing when you talk about placating and stuff. And I like to be optimistic, but I'm also kind of realistic too. You know, he said yesterday when Greg asked about getting a seat at the table and pointed at me, because it's great to have our voices heard. We've been able to do that for the last few years and stuff. But we need a say in what these rules and regulations
Not just a voice. That makes more sense.
Opinion. But he said, he looked at me and he goes, I don't think that guy wants to work for the federal government. You know what? I don't want to work for the federal government. I just want to drive my truck and do what I want to do the way I want to do it. But you know what? We're also truck drivers and we do what it takes to get the job done. So taking a job with the federal government to have this industry get safer and be a better industry that we all love and supports our families, that's what any one of us would do if we had the job.
Absolutely.
The whole thing that happened yesterday that I got out of it, okay, I can get anybody's email. I might not be able to get his, I might get his secretary.
You could if we all jump mic right now.
Right. but he did, everybody heard him saying, he said it all over video. Now if everybody saves the videos before they get deleted from YouTube, he said that you can have direct contact with him and he would listen.
That doesn't go in.
No, I know, but my whole thing is that, okay, you're going to have the HA in there, you're going to have a white in there, you're going to have whoever. This might translate to maybe now somebody will get in front of the Congress at a Senate hearing.
We have
you have
HA,
you have OIDA. Now you might get, okay, here's Mike Landis speaking on behalf of plain drivers that don't belong to any association.
But you know what I'm going to add to it? I hope that happens. I hope he's sitting in a Senate hearing. I hope a couple of us, and I really honestly believe that it can't just be Mike sitting in a Senate hearing. It needs to be multiple people from every section of independent operating trucking, because what they'll do is they might let Mike be in there and Mike will say have a 10-minute, 15-minute question and answer session on a hearing that plays on C-SPAN and under the cover of darkness or whatever, under the Americans' nose, they don't even know it happened. And then they're going to flood that hearing with ATA drivers, ATA reps, ATA lobbyists, OIDA, all of these Mothers Against Tire Trucking, safety advocates.
To enjoy my train of thought?
No, you can't. It's reality. All the times we came here, we've been shut down every single time. We've been shoved down every time. This is the first time we've been down here where there is some actual serious traction.
Right, and we should enjoy it for at least 24 hours.
But we know better. That's why Mike just said you don't get excited anymore when this stuff happens, because it's just fluff.
I'm not getting excited. I know all of this.
Y'all stay here before, like it's been 14 days now.
This is the longest protest ever. We never stayed long. This is the longest time truckers have stayed parked. And the thing is now that you've got the president's attention, he sent out the tweet, he sent the chief of staff out. Now that you have that, we can't leave. Those trucks can't leave. You got to stay, because like we talked about last night, the moment the trucks pull out of there, everything that was done while we were parked on Constitution Avenue, it's over with, it's done, it's gone.
They want us. That's why they gave us candy.
Here's the other thing, right?
I want to stay. Made in China.
Yeah. In America. Everybody has, look, the candy's made in Hershey, PA, because I haul the chocolate for it, so this
T-shirts. Made in China.
Look, here's the thing. We all have issues that are more near and dear to our heart. I think the biggest thing right now we need to do and accomplish is getting those couple seats at various places with real drivers, because that's the beginning of everything we need to do. If we don't get that done and we just get something done about brokers right now or something done about this, just like they gave us the hours of service right now, that was going to happen anyway.
I think it got pushed through. I think that was part of them trying to get us out of here. They're like, look, we're working on your behalf. We're doing something
it's been
for
sitting
you.
in the White House for a while, so there's that.
What, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months sitting at the White House with no action?
But the biggest
There's
thing
a
we need
process, and you know the process.
That process was completed.
I know that.
It's just been sitting on the man's desk.
Office of Management Budget has 90 days.
My name's Brian. They call me Two Scoot. Third generation truck driver. Been trying to fight for this industry in many different forms over the course of basically the last 4 or 5 years. It's such a huge, there's so many things in the trucking industry that needs attention right now. Overregulation has pretty much crippled mom and pop trucking companies owner-operator independence and has caused many company drivers in the mega fleets even some strain, even with the big companies. Right now we're here in DC currently protesting, looking for transparency in broker operations, basically, is what we're looking at. We're looking for the brokers to be more transparent. We're looking for transparency in the trucking industry as a whole, but mainly at the broker level. We're having a lot of trouble right now with the market, with the freight rates plummeting very quickly. A lot are quick to blame the coronavirus outbreak, COVID-19 stuff going on, but that's just simply not true. It is extremely difficult, especially with how long it takes to get something through like that. It's extremely difficult for us to even get a piece of what our own personal agenda is or our voice in, because they're going to flood it with their lobbyists and their money to get what they want.
Here's the problem with the money, though, and I think some of us had this conversation a few weeks ago. The money thing is true. However, there are so many companies that you wouldn't even think about that are backing a lot of these things we're combating with big money. It would almost be wasteful for all of us to put money in a pot and try and go somewhere, because it's going to be a drop in the bucket compared to what they're getting and everything else. The best thing we can do is figure out who the players are and backdoor them at their own game.
Something I'd like to add to this too, and it hurts my heart. Just look around here at all these people that don't have a clue what the government has done, putting their lives in danger as motoring public. Since the implementation of the ELD mandate, death fatality went up 30% in 1 year. That should be enough alarming rate to say, hey, this ain't working, and they have that data that they so want.
But don't you like how before it was implemented, they claimed the ELD was going to save 26 lives a year? Nobody could show us where that study came from, where they came up with that number.
You guys don't follow our rules.
Here's
where they got it.
Yeah, pull a number out of a hat. We'll say that's how many lives it saves. And in fact, when the numbers came out that showed that not only did it not save 26 lives a year, but it actually drastically increased fatality accident rates, then they sit there and say, well, it's going to be a few years before we have the most accurate numbers, a few years.
Yeah, the funny thing was, what was the big thing? They said, the compliance rate for not cheating on logbooks dropped by 48%.
Yeah, because of what they were looking at on logbooks, what they were getting logbook violations for were things because they put the wrong date in, or they didn't sign it that minute, or they messed up on the line, and instead of squiggly and initial, they just retraced it somewhere.
That doesn't even matter. Think about this. Their whole basis was that we cheated on our logbooks, but apparently we were safer by cheating on our logbooks and doing what we wanted than following the freaking rules.
There you go.
But why? Why? Because we know our bodies. We know when we need to get sleep. We know when it's safe to drive the truck and when it's not. For the government to try to tell us when we can and cannot drive the truck, they're killing people by doing that. You're killing people. Even look at construction zones. You go through the construction zones, the speed limit slows down. Since the ELD came into play, I got C.R. England going wham by me in the construction zone.
Don't forget speed limits.
Also, not to mention, look at all the highway deaths on the side of the road, and construction workers have increased. So the tow truck drivers working on the trucks. How about people parked on the shoulders, which sucks to have to do, but unfortunately that's a whole nother topic. But look at how many of them are getting sideswiped because the dude's falling asleep going down the road and kills the driver sleeping.
And they shouldn't even be parked on the side of the road, but they run out of time, and God forbid you go 5 minutes over your time for the day because you turn into a zombie when that thing runs out of time.
Except for now.
Now they'll allow you to move to a to a safe
right now
parking.
there is no hours of service. We're exempted.
Oh yeah, because there's a national crisis. We're exempt.
We're
so
safe.
now
We're
that's
safe
right.
now.
We're safe
We're
drivers
safe
because
drivers.
the country has a
We're
natural
safe now.
disaster or pandemic. Yeah. Every hurricane comes through. All of a sudden, it's okay to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We're the heroes. We're allowed to do whatever we want to get the job done. Now.
We only matter when there's an actual issue going on in the country. But the moment everybody's back to their happy-go-lives, back at schools, back at work, and
we don't know how to
going
do
on
our
vacations,
job.
we don't know how to do our job, and we're just idiots out on the road in their freaking way. But the moment we park the trucks or there's a disaster and they don't have toilet paper on the shelf, hello guys, we're the ones that bring you the freaking toilet paper. Now all of a sudden we matter, right? Come on. step up and talk to your senator or congressman, something. Help us out, public.
My name's Mike Landis. I'm an independent truck driver from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I also run an organization to fight these rules and regulations and make common sense ones for the trucking industry so we can keep trucking great. That's all, man.
You have a title? CJ Surgeon Department. That's SERGUYKAR. And I'm from Washington. I was a truck driver, owner operator. I had my own trucking company. I was a freight broker, 2011. So I hide in it. Safety director, and now I have a South Carolina for fleet management for trucking. All right, thank you guys.
So here we go. Just what was said. Prior to the COVID, in this case, COVID just happened. We're coming out of it. We've seen less traffic on the roads, less automotive, less
Way
cars.
less traffic.
Cars.
Okay, therefore, I think we can all attest to it. We've been working straight through it without restrictions. In fact, less restrictions. The government lifted restrictions. So, we've seen less accidents.
And that's legit. There's literally way less accidents on the road since COVID-19, but there's still as many trucks running.
They ask us for data. They want data because they want solutions. Data-driven solutions. We presented data-driven solutions to them, and they still reject.
I gave them data and I got audited.
They still
That's
reject.
a good one.
Yeah. So
I
what
like
more
that
do you want? We listen to your comments. They don't even give us.
The problem on the highway are the teenagers texting on their phone going down. It's not even just teenagers.
grown-ups.
It's people in their cars that are causing the accidents, not the truckers. It's the idiots that don't know how to drive a four-wheel car. They're the problem.
I can't even drive a moped and I crash, distracted driving. So.
It was a scooter.
Yeah.
There's a joke there.
That goes into the
There is a
safety
joke
though.
there.
That goes into the safety though, because if you start bringing back, I know when Mike and I went to school together. When we were in school, we legitimately had driver's ed. And the schools took driver's ed out of the curriculum, and even our driver's ed probably shouldn't have been as good as it was, or it should have been better than what it was. I'm saying, because I don't remember them telling me that I should stay. No, that's what I'm getting at. They didn't say anything about how you should drive a vehicle near a truck or away from a truck. You know what I mean? They didn't talk about that. The public doesn't know that them riding beside our trailer tires and we blow a tire, it can shatter the freaking windshield and cut the passenger's head off if it goes right. You know what I mean? They don't know that could happen, yet every single day I have a car riding beside my tandems going down the road. Every day.
We're blind spots.
Every day. We're riding in blind spots.
Do you know where I took my driver's ed, which was a third-party place? They were the opposite. They did all that. And that would have been in 1992.
We weren't all rich. We come from humble beginnings. I'm just kidding. We didn't all have that farmer money.
I was a poor farmer. Poor farmer.
I can't tell you about my driver's ed. We had a Fury 440. That's the only thing I'll say.
Can I guess on
I
it?
can't tell you what else happened.
Well, some of us here are pre-CDL.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. Who else pre-CDL?
Pretty old folks.
You pre-CDL? You pre-CDL? Are you pre-CDL? Like you were driving before yours? He would have been, yeah.
Yeah, not me.
The thing about it, we all sitting here and everyone sitting over on Constitution right now love what we do.
It's just like,
It's sad and it's a tragedy what's becoming of our industry. Myself, I always had a dream of building my company up and leaving it to my two children. If I were to have to do that today, I would just go ahead and burn them off. I would not want to put my children through what's going on in the trucking industry. We're leaving nothing for the next generations to come. We're leaving them no blue-collar America, not only in trucking, but other industries in this country is falling apart.
But you lead into something perfect, like what you just said about leaving your company, your trucking company, your business, your trucks, whatever, to the next generation. It ain't gonna happen, and not because of necessarily the regulations, but you got a Tom that's breathing down our necks right now. What they don't want you to stay driving. They want you to be not even in the truck, but they know they're gonna have to. Yeah, exactly. And what's gonna happen is, and it's almost there now, to be honest with you, I'd be making more money flipping burgers at Burger King than I am sitting behind the wheel of the truck.
You really want to leave
If
you really want your children involved in trucking?
I know it was back. If it was back when I started, yes, I would.
Okay, but what you know now with the way things are
No, that's what I'm saying. There ain't no way. I burn them first.
Don't want none of my kids in it.
No,
I have
that's
a
what I'm
son
saying.
in
I
it.
burn
I'm
them.
trying to get
My company name is Landis and Sons for my 2 little boys that are 7 and 10, and I half want to take the Sons part off the side of the goddamn truck.
And sure, at one point, when you first started, and when you first had children, you were like me, that you want your children to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, but I will say this.
Yeah.
I'm 3rd generation.
Right, well, you said
And growing up, my grandpa and my dad both said, "Don't you drive that damn truck. Don't you drive that damn truck."
I was the same way. Don't go drive the truck. Don't go drive the truck. Yeah.
But the day I started driving truck, they were all like,
Yeah, I know. Let's have a beer now. You got a truck.
We have a son that swore growing up when his dad was gone all the time. Our son said, "We're never going to be a truck because I'm not going to let my children go through that."
and that's the one that runs circles around him now,
He
right?
drives every single day now. Yes.
But you know what's funny? That's another point that I don't think many Americans even understand or realize how many hours you're sacrificing on the road to haul their food, their toilet paper, their chocolate for their candy bar that they like. You know, they don't realize how much we're sacrificing out there on the road. That's time that we're not with our families.
Yeah.
And some will say, well, you know, then go be with your families. Fine. Every truck driver right now, park your truck, go home, go to your families. In 3 days, you run out of fuel. 3 days, there's no gas at the gas pumps anymore. And then some of these guys probably got the other numbers of how many days it is for each thing. But literally, this economy would be decimated pretty much in 3
Toilet
days.
paper goes when everyone gets scared they're not going to be able to wipe their rear.
Toilet paper was gone in 1 day.
Could you
National lockdown. Toilet paper everywhere.
Could you imagine if the liquor stores and the gas stations and the stores ran out of cigarettes and alcohol? What kind of riot would you have in the
That rates
streets?
was sky high.
They'll riot over. They would riot.
Maybe,
Cigarettes and
hey,
alcohol
you know
before
what?
anything else.
Maybe that's what we do. Don't worry about shutting the trucks down. Just stop hauling the alcohol and tobacco products and watch what happens. We can keep making money hauling everything else. Just don't pull tobacco or alcohol.
We need to make sure we have this out there way before. So
And
we can
coffee.
stock up.
Yeah.
See, now, when I was driving, she had a misconception that things happen different in the truck. She thought I'm doing this and doing that. And
Oh yeah, we're just having a party out here while
You
we're
are
away.
eating steak.
I eat steak. That's one thing I always do.
Hey.
I will not slack on the food.
I do have opinion on a steak. I own my company. If I'm going to go out here and I'm going to bust my butt up and down these roads and work my butt off for the American
But
people,
you
I should be
would've-
able to afford to buy myself a steak dinner every night and not worry about it.
But she was,
And I do, as you can tell.
Yeah, hard to tell. You see that?
What about you, man?
You know, I'm curious what games people
There's some different.
Yes, ask them.
You know, we
Yeah.
do sacrifice a lot, and we do it because it's what we love to do. But at the end of the day, it's still a sacrifice. A lot of people say, well, you chose to do this. Yeah, you're right. I did choose to do this. And a lot of us are okay with spending a few days away from home. But those of us that own the trucks, I've come home, had my motor parked in the driveway on a Saturday and Sunday, loaded with a loaded trailer that I had to be somewhere with for Monday morning. And even though I was home, I didn't really get to spend any time with my kids. And that's the sacrifice we make, and we're willing to make, not only keep America moving, but live the American dream of having our own company, being able to be our own bosses and stuff. And you know what's great? My kids that are 7 and 10 know how to use a torque wrench to torque heads on a big Cam Cummins for crying out loud in the driveway. You know? And
Big Cam Cummins.
oh, relax.
You misplaced it. You know what? The other thing is this too. You run your butt off all week long. The first day you come home and sleep. The second day you do your honey-do list, get in the truck and leave. What time do you spend with your family? You got two things: sleep, honey-do list, and leave.
I moved my daughter to college last year. You know, she's always gonna be my baby girl. But that day when I took her to college, I looked at her and I realized that I missed her life. I didn't even realize she was a full-grown woman until that day. So many things I missed out, cheerleading, beauty pageant she went to, that I wasn't there. And I told her that day, I said, I'm sorry for missing out on her life. She said, Dad, it's okay, you provide it. I said, no, money ain't the best thing in the world is time together that we spend together is number one. Family. That means more than anything. Of all the sacrifices I made to give her a better life, a better way of living, don't mean nothing to me because I didn't spend that quality time watching her grow up. I missed out on her life.
Well, that's what I did. I mean, my daughter grew up, I didn't even know it. Now I have a grandson and I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, I done skipped my daughter, now I'm with my grandson.
Right.
And it's like,
Mine hasn't.
that's not right either.
Mine hasn't grown up and out on their own yet, but it seems like I still see my 12-year-old daughter, and she's 16, and she's got her learner's permit to drive a car. And the first time I came home when she had her learner's permit, I teared up when I got in the car, like, what the fuck did I miss?
Yeah.
You know, like I remember 12 years old, 11, 12, in my mind, she was still still a kid, still that age. And here she is, 16, I'm in the passenger seat teaching her how to drive a car, and we're talking about her career, what she wants to be, her colleges, you know, she's graduating a year early from high school. I don't know where she got it from. She didn't get it from me, I'll tell you that. But she's graduating a year.
I went to school with them. I can attest to
that. Yeah, we were busy drinking vodka and orange juice in the bag of American government, actually.
Well, like my kids, 3 out of my 5. I got 5.
You must be home a lot. You got 5.
My wife, all the time. My wife, not her fault, not mine. But no, 3 out of my 5 kids. If they don't hear me blow the horn when I leave, they cry. 5-10 minutes. They'll sit there and cry once they realize that I'm gone. If they didn't hear me blow the horn when I pull out, and that hurts knowing that your kids are crying because they didn't get to hear your horn when you left, and they don't know when you're coming home. Been here now 10 days. It sucks.
The other side
we're
is,
here doing it.
The other side is, especially those that are married, you know, I lost not lost, but I'm divorced. You know, and some of us other ones have had some divorces too, through trucking and other things, but, you know, when you leave the truck, when you come home and then you end up in an argument because, you know, you're never home or because there's things that need done that aren't getting done or whatever, and you end up in an argument, you know, with your spouse, and you leave to go on the road and mad at each other, you know, and all it does is make it worse and worse for home and make things bad. But you don't have a choice. You got to keep trucking. You got to keep going. And then, you know, in the end, anything could happen to you while you're out on the road. And you left that house angry at each other. And then one night you get taken out by a drunk driver, or you fall asleep behind the wheel or whatever, you know, like something bad happens, you know. I had to, basically the guy that raised me left the house, everything was friendly, but just goes to show that you don't know. He left the house and he never came back. He died behind the wheel, had a heart attack at a truck stop behind the wheel. It took 3 days for anybody to find him. You know, so you don't know what's gonna happen when you leave the house. Anything could happen. And so when you're leaving the house and you're mad at your kids or your spouse or whatever, and that weighs heavy on you going down the road, weighs real heavy on me at least.
Or you have a heart attack when your wife's at home.
Yeah, because she poisoned you.
That's why we get along so well.
We need more people over here. We need more truck drivers over here because this is not just for us. This is for everybody. Whatever we get over here, you guys gonna have a good opportunity to do so. We need support. We need more truck drivers over here.
Give it to them in Spanish. Tell them. Give it to them in Spanish.
Necesitamos la ayuda
There
de
you
todos
go.
ustedes. Necesitamos presencia
There
de
you
ustedes
go.
aquí. Esta es la oportunidad. No color, no nacionalidad, no nada. You gotta be here. Necesitamos que estén aquí presentes. Question time. Dios me los bendiga.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
That's what was.
Everyone that's in trucking, whether you even have kids or not, sacrificed in different ways, and some more than others. And I know I got a picture on my phone that I love and hate at the same time because my boy's looking out the front window of the house as I'm driving past the truck. And on a Friday afternoon, I'm going the road for the next week, and it's like I didn't really get to go home, but there they did watch me drive past the house. I have a love-hate relationship with that picture. And then for a lot of us sitting here, We got involved in trying to fight for the very industry that keeps us away from home because we love it. And it's what we know.
We're away from home more.
Yeah.
Because of shame.
We have spent more time away from home trying to fight to make this industry better in the way it should be and stop the government from impeding us as Americans and get them to listen to what really goes on out here so we don't have to worry as much every time we turn the key about not coming back home.
Is it love or is it that you're frustrated with the government?
Man,
Both.
it's a combination.
Because when we got into it, we had Ryan Bushnell and them guys, they met us to Ohio. And she threw at me, you've always said for years if you could just get a coalition together, a group of drivers to go fight. So I don't know if it was necessarily love for it or if I was just so frustrated with everything.
You want to know what it was for me? I've always run a paper logbook and do what I want everybody knows that.
Even they do.
Yeah, I used to run a lot at the coast, but when I did it LTL flatbed. So I'd be on the coast making drops, making picks, and I had time to get that 34-hour restart in there. Last time I went was in 2017 when the ELD thing was being talked about hot and heavy, and I did it with the transport. Deliver, you wash out, you pick up, you leave. I didn't have any extra time. So I had to take it, from Pennsylvania to California, you run out of hours. So I had to take a 34-hour restart in Barstow. And there I sat for 34 hours at a hotel doing what? When I could have been easing my way to Indiana with my load of fermented grape juice for making wine. But no, by the time I left there, I had just enough time to make it to where I had to go. So now I got to keep pushing. It was the stupidest thing in the world. And it was the first time in my driving career actually I had taken 34 hours off somewhere other than home. And I thought about this, and that's why I got involved, because I got thinking about these ELDs and how they're going to hold us to this. And I thought, they're taking their rights away. They're taking my freedom as a driver away, because there I sat. And I could have eased on, and if I'd have got stopped, they'd have seen I was out of hours. But I could have went and stopped at places along the way and enjoyed the, I don't want to be a paid tourist, but it makes the stress on us as drivers a lot less if we're kind of allowed to do our thing and not feel pushed all the time. And these ELDs have brought that into play, and that's what really got me involved in this. I thought, you know what? Sometimes I push a little harder to make sure I can get home and take my kids to the racetrack on the weekend and stuff like that. And this is going to take it away. And I'm safe doing it, because when I got audited, they looked at each other and they said, well, this guy don't have anything on his record nowhere. No shit.
You brought up paid tourist, and I think that's part of the recruiters, literally Army recruiter. We're going to pay you to go see this country. But you're not going to make any money. We're going to tell you you're going to make money, and then you're going to find out in the first 6 months to a year you're really not making any money because of all the regulations, because of all the set hours that you can and can't run. We tell you when you can run, not when you think you can run.
Well, it's corporate America, they trap them too. Them big companies, part of the reason you see such a low morale with drivers and the way they dress and treat people and stuff like that is because they work for these big companies that promise them the world, because they're picking on people that aren't like us that have come from a trucking background. They don't know any better. And we've seen a huge rise in that after the economy kind of took a dip back in the mid-2000s, where a lot of people lost their jobs. I see a lot of these people, this was such a generational type industry where you grew up with it, and now you're starting to see people that have no background in trucking, and they're being, brought into this by these big companies because they don't know any better. Hey, sounds great, we'll train you, we'll offer you this insurance, we'll offer you that, blah, 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 blah. And then they get them in there and they trap them. They make them sign a thing, so they have to work for like a year, otherwise they have to pay their training back. They give them training that, is maybe okay for someone that grew up moving trucks around the yard from 8 years old on up, but not someone that's done anything but work behind a computer now, because they don't know. They don't understand when they get out on the road what they're really behind the wheel of. And then they put them out there and they let them do okay for the first few weeks, and then they start cutting them back because they don't really have work, they don't really care, and they'll let them sit in truck stops for a couple of days at a time and they're not making any money. Now these guys are away from home. They don't let them go home but every 2 or 3 months for a day or two. They're not making any money to support their family. Why should they give a shit about anything? And they don't. And now we have guys that are disgruntled, they're pissed off, they're hungry, they're broke, driving trucks up and down the road, and just don't care. But these big companies are portrayed as so great because they're large and this and that and the other thing. And and their safety rating's so great. But a lot of people know that a lot of them big companies, half the powered equipment they have doesn't even get driven. It's plated so their numbers look good and their scores stay good as far as safety goes, but they're just sitting in the yard doing nothing.
I think the biggest, what irks me the most and what has pushed me through my own personal message and doing what we're doing about bringing people together and uniting is when I go into a truck stop and I see a truck driver literally counting change in his pocket to figure out if he can afford to eat a freaking roll or hot dog, you know, or he's counting on his points to get fuel to pay for food. He's hoping that the restaurant that's attached to it will let him use points to pay for his meal, you know. There is no reason why any truck driver ever out on the road should be in a situation where they're digging change on the floor mat or in their pocket to figure out if they can afford to eat a hot dog.
But yet we have a driver shortage, supposedly.
There's no driver shortage. It's a made-up number. It's made up by
driver shortage. Why are they paying us $1.30 instead of $5?
Right. If there was driver shortage, then why is the freight so low? Because supply and demand.
That's a ploy shortage of quality drivers.
Yeah. I like how the driver shortage works for them when they need it to. When they say there's a driver shortage when they need it to. But then when the rates are real low, they go, there's a surplus of drivers. Right. Oh yeah, okay. So when this whole thing is over, and however long it may take, this whole COVID thing's over, are we going to be back to there's a driver shortage again?
Pick a story and stick to it.
Pick a story and stick to it. And you know what? You want to know something? I'm going to call it out right now. The FMCSA is guilty of saying the exact same crap.
Yes.
They say the exact same crap.
State level senators, congressmen, our congressmen relay a message like this. They're saying the same story. So then your whole state believes the same exact thing.
But it goes into what he's saying, that these mega fleets will go and buy, you know, an extra couple hundred trucks. They'll plate them so that they're ready to drive when they want to drive.
But they can't ride them off till they put a trucker in.
Right. But the thing is, with those empty trucks sitting there, they go to justify. They say they have a shortage. So they buy these trucks, they plate them, they get the numbers on them, they sit there, it raises their safety score up, and then they justify it by saying, well, they're empty because we have a driver shortage. Yeah. That's why. We have a driver shortage, and that's what's going on. It's a total BS scam. The whole thing is a total scam.
The whole thing about like this fighting this and all that, I got into this, and with that notion of it doesn't affect me. Because it doesn't. What I do, I don't run ELD, I run local, I'm home every night. But my thought is everybody else that comes out here, or the people newer to the industry, that didn't get to experience this industry when it was good. I want everybody to be able to have what I had when I started. You know, there's such a huge difference. In 2002, when I became a motor carrier, just up to like 07, it was a day-night clock. And just how this industry was, how the people in the industry was, it was a lot nicer industry then. The people
never came back from 08.
And that was the reasoning. That's the reason I'm involved.
We never came back from, trucking never came back from 08, but just about every other business has. Just about every other industry has rebounded completely to a point that there's really no evidence of 08 within that industry. Real estate maybe in California still suffering, but
they all got bailed out by the government.
They all get bailed out.
I never slowed down in 08, 09, 10. I never slowed down a bit.
But we're still sitting here at before 08 numbers, you know what I mean? We're sitting at what, 70s, 80s rates right now?
Hey, you want to hear a fucking BJ and the Bear haul anything anywhere for $1.50 a mile? That was in 1978.
Yep.
Now they want us to haul shit for 85 cents a mile, and we're paying $4 a gallon.
Hi, my name is Junior Feliz. I'm a truck driver. I'm an owner operator. This is my truck over here. And I am here to support this protest to a better life for truckers, to be more transparency with the brokers. We need more truckers. We need more truckers to win this fight. We are fighting very serious with every truckers in the same page. We are trying to be as united as many we want. We need you, brothers and sisters. We need you, truck drivers, because we are the base that keep the economy all owner operators, because we move United States, and we want a better life for our family. We want a better life for our kids, for our neighbors. We want to keep this country running. So do something positive. I motivate you. God bless you. You have something, another question, you can edit, right? You can edit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this part you cut it. I do videos also.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Like, how you feel about the price gouging?
All right. I feel that they are trading us as a slave. They are cutting the prices. They are killing all the truckers. They are taking more percentage on any law because they want to take us from the business.
All right.
So, and how do I feel about here? About this situation? Look, we are very positive. We just do protest. We enjoy as a family.
Mm-hmm.
We cook, we play, we take out our dogs, we hang out, we do a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You don't gonna be stressed over here. You are doing something good, at the same time enjoying the life. God bless you. And we are adapted to this, to be out from our home. We are adapted. So it's you that you know if you don't gonna answer to us, or you gonna wait that we get more strong. It's up to you, President.
Let's see what these guys have to say. Let's see what they've said they're okay being in the dock.
Hey, truckers. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Do you guys live around here?
Well,
Arkansas. I'm from DC.
Okay. All right. So anybody have questions?
You know why we're all here?
well, I watched the news this morning, and while the president was speaking, there was these horns blowing.
Yes.
And he said, do you hear that sound right now? And Maria said, yes. What is it? He said, that's my friends, the truckers. And so I forgot about it.
He said that's my friend.
Trump
said on the news,
Yeah,
that's
go
my friend, the
watch it.
truckers.
That's what he
And I
said.
got a message for Trump. Come out and talk to us. Stop hiding behind the wall.
Okay, but anyway, y'all are his friend. I mean,
I got one for you. I had a sniper these crosshair with my 40.
He's like 8 feet tall though. That's the problem.
He refused to move.
Okay,
That's why it's good to be short.
Yeah.
Too tall.
Okay, so go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so this is my friend, so we were just hanging out, riding around, and we saw y'all all lined up, and that's when we put two and two together. Y'all are here for a reason, but I don't know why you're here.
We can explain it real fast.
Well, I'm just curious though. Before, I mean, what do you guys know? What's your perception? What's your ideas of truckers?
We don't take no offense.
Honest, we want real honest.
You mean truckers as people or truckers as professionals?
No, as you're driving down the highway.
I don't like it when you're in the left lane.
Okay, that's what we're at.
None of us here like that.
None of us like it either.
None of us have that slow trucks.
All right, here's the thing. I've never seen more truckers on the road in my life than I do right now. But I've heard that the rates are the same as before. I heard you guys saying that, and so I don't understand that game. I just know that the truckers are still moving about, even during this season. I've seen them on the road more than cars, more trucks than cars right now. So I guess you guys are essential because you're bringing product we have to have. So that makes sense. But man, I'm probably as ignorant about trucking as anybody in the world. Although my dad used to be a trucker and ended up falling out of his truck in an accident, was under the truck and held onto it while diesel was dripping in his mouth, almost killed him.
Well, I can tell you in about 5 days, if we all stopped, all the trucks stopped, 5 days, you would have nothing. All the stores buy everything as it goes.
And you'd be out of gas in cars in 3 days.
He'd be all right.
and some of us that know what happens if we all stop, have things stop. But the point is, the whole country is ran by a needed now basis. Everything is shipped to be brought there right away.
Yeah, that's obvious when you go into a store.
And there's no toilet paper?
Well, when the shelves are empty, they don't have stock in the back. They're waiting for you guys to show up.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I used to deliver retail, and that's the way the stores are a daily delivery for retail. And obviously, postal retail is China stuff, stuff in boxes, but that's the way it operates.
So what are you guys doing here? You're lined up on the streets, you're blowing your horns. Trump appreciated your horns. I know he didn't come talk to you, but what are you doing here? What's the purpose? What's going on?
We're here currently, this situation is asking for broker transparency. So we're currently during this, I mean, it's been going on before this, but it's more prevalent now. We're being basically reverse price gouged. So what they're doing is they are dropping the rates on us to below what we need to survive to run the truck. And they're saying that basically that's all it is, that's all they're offering, and the brokers themselves are kind of controlling those rates. So a customer, or the person that wants the product, may still pay, say, $6 a mile, for example. Then a big brokerage firm like TQL or CH Robinson gets their hands on it, and then they offer it to drivers for only $2 a mile. So they're taking a huge chunk of it.
Or 80 cents a mile.
Or right now we have 80 some cent per mile. And I don't think there's a single guy in here right now that can drive for less than $2 a mile.
I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman who is running for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. And I spoke briefly with him this morning, and he has a lot of things in common with, as far as the regulatory side of things, in the medical field, a doctor, a hospital, and so on. I'm just going to read you what he has, what his card says. The inventor of email, scientist, innovator, entrepreneur, and a fighter. 4 MIT degrees. Fulbright scholar, 7 successful high-tech companies, developing cures for cancer and Alzheimer's, eliminating animal testing, 39-year Massachusetts resident, public schools, American Legion Boys State, All-American Kid, paper route, mowed lawns, played baseball. Dr. Shiva, MIT, PhD for U.S. Senate, Massachusetts.
All right. All right, thank you, everyone. You may want to gather around here. We're in front of the White House here, and behind us is the Washington Monument. Yesterday night, we came in from Massachusetts. Some of you may know we have collected about 100,000 plus signatures to fire Fauci. Some of you may know that there's a guy that is running the health of this country, who he thinks he's the emperor of this country, called Anthony Fauci. But what Anthony Fauci represents is the same kind of enemy that all of you are facing and every American is facing today, which is there's an attack top down on small business people like everyone here. We need to build a bottoms-up movement, because you cannot trust these people in Washington anymore, these lawyers and lobbyists. The reason I'm running for Senate is because, like you, I came bottoms up. I grew up in the working class neighborhoods of New Jersey, was very fortunate to go to MIT, get all those degrees, so they can't say I'm just some flunky. Okay, but I'm here to fight for you. But when you think about what's happening with your trucking industry, that Marcus and Greg have just, and we had a great meeting yesterday where I started to learn what's really happening is regulations, regulations, regulations. That's not about everyday people. These regulations are being done to support the big guys. You know what I'm saying? They always talk about safety. You know what I'm saying? They say we want to save the truck drivers. We want to save you on the vaccine safety issue. We want to save, parents. But the key word safety has always been used as a way, let me see if I can turn this up a little bit. That safety, is that better? Yes. Safety has always been used. It's like the red flag word when they say safety. What safety means is we're going to come screw you. That's what it really means. They say that they're going to do safety, but then they put these ELDs into your car so they can track you like slaves. They say safety, and then they want to do vaccine safety and create more regulatory bodies. And that's what the not-so-obvious establishment does. So in this country, we have 2 types of ways they try to screw you. One is a direct establishment like Fauci, Gates, who come in top-down. They create an economic collapse. They scare us. with the notion that we need top-down mandated vaccines, right? That's what this is about. This is about to force every American to try to get vaccinated top-down by big pharma, big hospitals, big medicine. Now, when you look at the trucking industry, the same thing. The big trucking companies are essentially monopolizing the entire regulatory process. And what I understand, that's only 20%, right? 20% of the people who move the goods are the big guys. 80% are you guys, the small guys, us bottoms-up guys. But they want to choke us, they want to tax us, and they want to watch us and surveillance us. And this is the exact same what's going on with this vaccine safety nonsense. So we started the Fire Fauci campaign. And the Fire Fauci campaign was not just about firing Fauci. It's about sending a signal that we as Americans are catching on to you, that we need to build a bottoms-up movement for truth, freedom, and health. And let me explain that, because I think it's about time everyone understands how these three things are related. Freedom, the ability for us to gather like this, discuss, not having to wear masks all the time, telling us to go where we should go. That's the basis of doing science, real science. And when you do real science, you can come to truth. And truth, in the case of vaccines, is that it's boosting the immune system. Has anyone told us about that? Has anyone in the government focused on boosting the immune system? Has anyone? No, they haven't told us that sunshine, eating the right vegetables and fruits, right? Vitamin C boosts our immune system. Their goal is to tell us we're going to protect you. And by protection, that means we're going to force mandated pharmaceuticals, mandated medicines, and we're going to take a piece of your hide to do that. That's what this is about. And when it comes to you truck drivers and the small business owners, same thing. We want to protect you, so we want to put these ELDs into your trucks. So we're going to watch everything you're doing in the purpose of safety. What's not about safety, because when you actually look at it, there's been, I believe, 2.8 deaths per day now from that truck drivers are inducing for themselves. And there's been increased amount of accidents. That's what's going on, because the small truck drivers are now running around being watched by the government. That's what's going on. And this is what the policy is going on when you have Democrats and Republicans. Both of these lawyer lobbyists don't give a damn about us. So what's the solution? There's only one solution. And that solution is us going back to our roots, bottoms up. We got to stand up on our own 2 feet. We got to watch what we put in our mouth. We got to watch the dirty air, dirty water, and dirty food. We got to, as you guys as entrepreneurs should read those legal contracts. You guys need to get smart. We need to get smart. We can't be outsourcing our decision making to these guys. You follow what I'm saying? That's what they want us to do. Regulations are designed for big guys, big pharma, big hospitals. You know, I don't know if you know, they talked about saving parents, right? Safety for kids. And what they've done is they have the same regulatory policy now allows the government to come into your homes and take away your kids for safety. And that's become a $1 trillion industry. 1 trillion, you're shaking your head, right? So if you're a parent, a mother, or a father, if the government sees something's going on, they can swoop in for the child's safety, take away your kids. The foster care business has become a $1.2 trillion business in 2020. And that's what's happening. Everything's about taking away our power and making it big, big, big. It's not about America as we knew it. Bottoms up. Bottoms up, bottoms up, bottoms up. So when I decided to run for U.S. Senate, I don't need to do this. I've been a very successful entrepreneur. As Marcus said, I've made a lot of money doing other things. I'm doing this because my parents, when we came here in 1970 as Indian immigrants, saw this country as a place where you could work hard, take control of your lives, and build something like all of you want to do. But what's happening is it's regulations from top down that are choking every one of us. About 60% of our income, if you look at it, goes to taxes in some form or the other. So at every part of our lives, it goes to control us, take away our freedom, and destroy the small business owner. And that's what's happening to you guys. And the only way out of this is all of us recognizing that we need to go bottoms up, and we need to build a movement bottoms up. You cannot trust these lawyers and lobbyists. Does that make sense? We got to build a bottoms-up movement. So anyway, I want to thank you very much. We have 100,000 plus signatures that all of you signed. We're going to be delivering them today. Right after this, I'm going over to City Hall. There's the shutdown protests out there. Anyone who wants to come should go over there. But this is about working people. It's about us. I'm one of you. You're one of me. We need to have us start building a movement. Anyway, thank you very much. Truth, freedom, and health. Truth, freedom, and health. Truth, freedom, and health. That's what this is about. Thank you very much.
So what the brokers are doing is taking advantage of the trucker. They're saying all rates went down, which they did go down a little bit on fuel surcharge because of the drop of the oil. See, it went down on the fuel surcharge. When we sign a contract, we have a baseline. Whatever we lock that in, and now it's hard to get anything over a year contract because there's so many competing against each other now. So when you've got that year contract, that rate is locked in, it does not change.
So
The only
regulation?
So the only thing can change is the fuel surcharge can go up or down. So right now they've took the fuel surcharge practically off the table. But that baseline is still sometimes double and triple what they're paying guys. Just like yesterday, my wife got on there and she was looking on it. In New York, Pennsylvania, it's paying $5 a mile. And then it also shows what the trucker took it for, $1.09 a mile. So where's that fair?
Because the brokers are doing the drivers.
Yeah, they're telling them that there's this limited freight, there's this, the rates is awful, this is all we have in it, this is the best I can do. I'd rather that a man look at me or talk to me on the phone and tell me the truth. Hey, look, I'm going to break it off. It's paying me $5 a mile, but if you want to take it for $1, it's yours, and that's all I'm giving.
So transparency.
Transparency. Exactly.
Negotiate about it.
And if Trump was sitting right here, and you were going to be nice, what is it that you would ask him to do? I mean, seriously.
To enforce transparency from the brokers.
Yes.
An executive order forcing transparency.
No, there's no
no
regulations.
And drivers themselves, if they start hauling cheap freight, they're doing it to themselves at that point, because you should be able to see that, you know, TQL or CH Robinson is only paying $1.30 for this because whatever reason, but then you got another small brokerage that's offering $3 a mile. Well, it'll be up to you to basically go and grab that $3 to find that, to take it, and it's going to force everyone, those big ones, to even raise the price because they don't want to lose business, so they'll come up on their freight rates as well. And then at that point, yes, I believe that manufacturing, any type of tariffs, things like that are going to control the rate. But right now, the rate honestly is being controlled by the brokers. There's a loophole that they get around. There's already some rules in place, some regulations in place that basically require them to tell us what the rates are, you know, from top to bottom, what they're getting. However, they found these loopholes. They've basically made it to where there's two things that they're doing right now. When you sign the contract to haul the freight, you're waiving your right to ask that question, what's it paying you guys? You're waiving that documentation to prove what they're getting, not just what they're telling you, but you're waiving your right to that. And so many of them are doing it now that if you refuse to sign that contract with that statement in it, you're not going to work, you're not going to haul. They're forcing your hand to do it. And that's a huge problem. The other side is those that are now letting those requests go through, the way they're offering it up is saying, okay, no problem, you can see it as long as you come to our office Monday through Friday during normal business hours. Well, how am I supposed to take that freight and trust what you're telling me, haul it to your area or get loads to your area, then walk in the office and see after the fact? It's not right. And they already know that by saying things like that, we can't get our trucks into their office to go and look at that paperwork. They know that. That's why they're doing it. It's loopholes. They're finding loopholes. We need to lock that down. We need to lock that down. We need to get 100% transparency, and we need to get answers. That's why we're here. That's what we're asking for. We're not leaving until it's done. You know, many of these guys have been here for 15 days. Today's day 15. It's one clear message: broker transparency. And it goes into such detail. It's just, you know, it's overwhelming, all of the things that go into play with it. But it really is a simple, we want transparency. We're not asking for anything else right now. We're asking for transparency in the industry and the brokerage side of things. You know, there's been, the chief of staff came out from the White House, but there's been little to no media coverage. Don't know why. The chief of staff came out here and nobody covered that. How does that happen? You know, many of these guys here are Trump supporters, but yet he goes on Fox News and says that this isn't a protest, this is a rally in support of him. That's not true. He's lying. He's lying. And that's not a jab at the president in any means. Look, I voted for Donald Trump. I plan on voting for him again in 2020, even with this going on. But I'm not going to stand by and let a lie like that degrade what's going on here these last 15 days. These guys have worked hard for what they've accomplished so far. They have done great things, and they have gotten further than any trucking protest has ever gotten before. When I think to the industry personally as a whole, I think of the generations that have been involved in it. I think of the sacrifices that the drivers have made to be out on the road to provide for their family, the countless days, hours, months, weeks that they've been on the road away from their kids, their wife, their husband, whatever it may be, and busting their butt to make basically under minimum wage when you really think about it. It's disheartening. It's disheartening because trucking is literally the backbone of this country. You can't name one thing that you wear, eat, sleep in, build a house with. You can't name one item, one thing that didn't come by a truck in your household. Not one thing. So if you put these guys out of business, what do you think that's going to do to America? If these guys have to go bankrupt, their businesses have to go bankrupt because of it, what's going to happen? The big mega fleets can afford to run like that because they sign contracts out a year in advance, things like that, 2 years in advance, with a rate that they want. No matter what happens, they always get that rate, where they have enough trucks to handle hauling cheap freight. Eventually it's going to come to a point where the mom and pop trucker is gone, and all you got are the corporations doing it. You know, I always equate it to it's Walmart versus the mom and pop store. You know, nowadays doesn't really apply with Walmart. They've been around for so long, but some of you old enough will remember that when Walmart first started coming to towns, what it was doing to the local businesses. Now local businesses have figured out basically how to survive with Walmart, but they're struggling. They still struggle. It's still a headache for them most times. They're still busting their butt for pennies on the dollar. You know, I just see an end of an American legacy, the American dream is right here with these truckers. Truck drivers come from every nationality, race, creed, religion. We're all equal in the trucking world. Everyone's equal in the trucking world. And it affects everyone. It affects you as an American back home. You know, toilet paper went off the shelves, but yet it's still being manufactured. I don't know. It's disheartening.
Now that happens, when it starts happening again, now you're going to get more truckers All those live videos that went out on this, people were literally going, holy shit, it's happening. Shit happening. Right? That alone can draw people in to help support you. That will help motivate people to get here, whether they're civilians or they're drivers or they're who knows who. But they come here and start helping because they saw that you made a stand. But the thing is, you have to give in a little bit. When they push back, you back up because they allowed us to do that. But now the next time, you push forward again. And you do that in a few hours or tomorrow, whatever's best. Whatever you think about it, you work it out, right? You decide when is the right time to do it. You push back and you do it again. Okay?
That's smart.
Then when they flex again, you back off again. So like I said, that only lasts for so long too. Just like sitting here on the street only lasts for so long. 13, 14 days, you guys are ready to flex a little bit, right? Right. So now you're flexing a little bit, and that's a good thing. And keep that up, and don't ever stop fucking doing that. Don't ever stop doing that. But what I tell you is that you have to work with the law enforcement together. Because they don't have, they're just doing a job. They're not against you. They're not for you either. That is another point. Okay, back like 4 more. Yeah.
One more, guys. Behind us, last line, please.
Yeah.
That's good, right there.
Thank you, guys.
We got it. We got it. They got it.
As long as you go back and forth, like you flex with them, right? You flex with them. They're gonna flex with you. They're gonna let you do it, and then when they say, okay, enough's enough, then they're gonna let the media coverage know what we just did here.
Hey, for my food. Stay back. Come on.
That's the thing, though. They didn't know about this story, right? You guys just did this. Now what happens is those live videos start going viral and shit. It starts going out. People start tagging. They email those news companies. Did you see this? Did you see this? Do you know how many civilians walking by were like, holy shit.
They're freaking out.
Right? So all of that starts going viral and it goes out there. And now those people are like, oh, we got to get down. We got to talk to somebody. We got to figure something out. Now they start showing up in cameras and wanting to interview. When you see those cameras start showing up,
Let's do it again.
do it again. You do it again. When those cameras start showing up, you do it again.
God bless you.
Brother, you need this
You
loud
ain't going
speaker.
nowhere. Fuck no.
I can't hear you.
I don't need it. I'm a man.